Hello, folks. This is Eric Metzger. I am the Director of Integration and Advocacy. Today we are doing a webinar called Venturing Out, and it's tips and strategies for successful discovery and connection experiences. We are doing a series at Hamilton County DDS. We'll do these through December, a very short integration and advocacy kinds of trainings. We want them to be available to you 24/7. 365 days a year, so that if you are a provider and feel like you need training on how to do things or understanding, or a family member, and certainly a person that we serve, we want to be very transparent about what we're doing. We want to make sure that you're absolutely confident that we know what we're doing and that we can help, and also know that we're really good listeners. We don't know everything, but we really do. We're in the streets every day doing this work. We're not office people that just have hypotheses and theories about stuff. We're meeting with families and people serve and providers and community members all day, every day. And so we hope that you feel confident that today's lesson is really about, more specifically, we've talked about integration. What does it mean? I will kind of define the most easy version of that in a second, but we really want to talk today. We've had a lot of questions from you as providers and some family members about, hey, how do you really do it? You know, it's not very easy a lot of times, and they're not very nice out there a lot of times. And we have not found that to be the case, but it is a skill set. Providing care for somebody and providing good integration experiences, kind of getting out there and doing this in a way that feels comfortable for everybody. It is a skill set. And so we're going to share some tips today. They're not going to blow you. This is a humanist experience, so you're not going to be, wow, that's so far removed, and I would have never thought of that. But I do think that if you will follow these tips and really make sure, you know, that you're doing these kinds of things, you'll find it helps. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and click off of my face there. You've seen enough of that. Let's get to a better-looking screen. Okay, venturing out, tips and strategies for successful discovery and connection experiences. Bottom line is this is all about integration. What is integration? There are all kinds of definitions. For today, I just want to say this. Integration is just this, getting to know yourself, what your gifts and talents are. Everybody, regardless of the extent of their disability, whether people can talk or not, communicate well or not, have an intellectual disability that's invisible or one that's very pronounced, have a physical disability that's obvious or not. The people that we serve through HCDS, I cannot say this enough, have unbelievable amounts of value and things to contribute. Sometimes that looks difficult. Sometimes we really have to work to find those things, to mine them, and that is no different than a lot of other people who have their own kinds of barriers, be they medical or physical, intellectual, or whatever it is. I want to say that to every parent out there is, and every person with a disability out there is, that you have so much to contribute. You're valued. We are not focusing on what your disabilities are. We're also realists. We know that there are barriers. We work through this every day. But the point is what do you love about yourself? What do you love about your kid? When we start to have those talks and realize that a smile is worth 1,000 memories for people. There are so many miserable cashiers that would just like somebody to smile and ask how they're doing, or a thank you note, or something valuable that the person could give. And if they do that genuinely, that just opens up so many doors. So, all right. But principally, I think I'm talking mostly to providers, some family members, about, hey, how do we actually do integration? What is it? Integration is engaging in life, engaging in work and living and playing in your community, outside your door, right outside of your door. You know, from the moment you open your door and you step out into your neighborhood or to your street, and to your local community, and then extended communities. So, you know, you're a full-fledged citizen. Just because you have a disability doesn't mean that you don't get to participate. However, to participate, there are some things that we have to do. And if we are supporting people with disabilities, we've got to make sure that we have a way to help folks engage. So here we go. And for some reason, our screen is not cooperating. There we go. Okay. How can I prepare? So the very first thing is you have to prepare. Many provider staff do not live in the community of the person that they serve, and they're very uncomfortable. So if you're a staff person, you get assigned to work with Joe, and Joe lives, 100, well, I guess it wouldn't be 100 miles, but maybe 50 miles or even 40 or even 20 miles from where you live. You may not know the community. You may be uncomfortable. You may have heard rumors about the community that are or are not true, or both. It's usually both. And you just may not know it. So what we say is do a couple things. One is before you venture out is, and just kind of blindly do a little Googling and find out what, if anything, you can find out about you. Talk to people that live, work, and play in that community. And if you don't know them, then we need to meet some of those people. But usually towns have little community centers, some brochures, but you can Google information. You can go to Nextdoor or some of the other online communities that help you find out things about community. But the other thing is get in your car and drive around. Just drive around and look for places of interest. Get a sense of the community, and you have the ability to talk to anybody, cashiers, people that, maybe you're pumping gas and you're next to somebody. Just talk to people. Say, hey, what do you love about this particular community? And, say the name, obviously, if you're in Evendale. What do you love about Evendale? I live in Utah. Sometimes that happens, right? But the whole point is talk to people and find out. And people, what you're doing is you're mining for gems that you don't know. And those of you who do know the communities and really think that you know everything about the community might be surprised. We find out all the time that people had no idea that there's a rec center right down the road, or there was a church that gave out free food every Tuesday, or that there was a mosque or synagogue or something that does fantastic work right around the corner, or that there was just a citizen who just literally passes out pops every Thursday at 2:30 for whatever reason, the school kids going home, those kinds of things. So that's the first thing. You really can't integrate if you don't have a sense of that community. And so that's where we want to start. Keep it local and focused on matching gifts and interests. Again, very simply, it doesn't take a long time to say this. And that is, if we focus on disability and all the barriers the person has, well, I don't think you understand, Eric, my brother doesn't talk, or I don't think you understand, Eric, the person I serve as a provider, he really doesn't communicate with people, he doesn't look at people, or he has a physical disability, or he's too medically fragile to really do that stuff. I've served people for 30 years, and I have not found anybody that doesn't have something wonderful to contribute. Now, what I have found is a number of people who aren't sure of their own gifts and may not have a sense of how to connect very well, or they just haven't had enough opportunities to build a way to do that. And then I have other folks that I've served too who could only handle a little bit of time. So, we're not talking about a huge commitment of time all the time. Sometimes we start out with a real small experience, which might be walking into a donut shop, because when Joe sees that donut that he loves, man, does he make a big deal about it. Even though he can't say words, he smiles and he makes noises that say, I love sprinkled donuts. And for the first time ever, since he started, the donut guy remembers why he started making donuts 10 years ago. Meanwhile, he has 3 angry customers in line because they're just more involved with themselves than they are the people around them, and they're just shouting for their coffee to get ready in a hurry. Now, who's got more value to that donut maker? So these are the kind of things we think about. But local means a couple things. First, local means you open the door. You open the door and literally look in your neighborhood or in your street and say, do we have neighbors that I could contribute to? Can I take a cup of coffee with somebody? Could I start a conversation? Are there lonely people who I could just share a nice word with, or a nice card with, or a cup of coffee, or take their newspaper to them? Is there some way that I can extend my own value to people? And again, it's not a big deal, right? Not a big deal. Are there things right outside my door that I can participate in? Are there clubs? Are there things that people do that make this community better? And when we talk about starting and joining something later, we'll hit that issue. Local then extends to your closest community, which might be a small town or a shopping area, that kind of thing. And again, getting to know that, right? So that, And we talk about local simply out of convenience, right? So many people that we serve with disabilities do not drive. They don't have transportation. So we want to make sure that A is just from a very practical standpoint, they're not trying to count it out because they can't get to places. Two is local is very important because, again, you're more likely to see people where you shop and live and work and play. Just you have more repetitions. Now, having said that, we don't want to discount that local means different things to different people because some people are very adventurous. And, for instance, if you live in Harrison or Anderson or the northern part of the county, or just even say like Evendale, you may, if I ask if you're from Cincinnati, you may say, oh, absolutely, from Cincinnati, because you see your local area is fairly big. Or you might live in those areas and go, no, I never go to Cincinnati. I know some of those people they're like, no, this is where I hang out, man. Since I don't like the big city. They're not far, but to them that is not their local area. The last thing I'll say about local that actually is a little bit different, and that is this. People don't usually have a single community anymore. A lot of people might go to church or synagogue or mosque or just whatever it is that you do in different places. And so I have friends that are Ukrainian, and so they travel quite a bit of ways from where they live in Ohio to get to that. But it is part of their community. It's part of their cultural community. So while we do really say local works for a lot of people, we also recognize that if you're a musician or a sports person or whatever, that your community may exist well beyond your immediate community. All right. The door is open. We hear all the time through integration and advocacy, we hear this all the time, that how, the community's not ready. We really think the community needs to be made ready. They're not ready, and we had a bad experience or this and that. That is not all our experience, and I want to emphasize this, that our team is in the street and working with people. We're not office people. You can't do integration and be in the office all the time. We're with families and providers and people we serve and community members all the time. We have found overwhelming, and I'll tell you, I've been surprised myself. I've been doing this, I've been in the field for 30 years, and when I really started integration work heavy, which was about 3-4 years ago, I was just amazed at how awesome Cincinnati and Hamilton County is. There are so many people that that are hospitable, want to give and receive from people with disabilities. That is an absolute truth. I live it every day, and I will also tell you this. I'm also a realist, and that is there are jerks out there, and it has nothing to do with people with disability. They just aren't very nice people, and you can find those people all over the world. There are organizations that are very friendly, and just don't waste time with those people. But please go out in the community and know you may not find them right away, or you may, but if you go and you believe that the door is open, you're going to find more doors. I just can't tell you how many giving people there are out there. And I want to talk about contribution here in a minute. Who really need the contributions of people with disabilities. So I'll talk about that a little bit. The other thing is when you go into a place, look around. What else happens here? Don't just look at the name of the place and assume that it. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you went and you saw a clothing store that said, Joe's Blue Jeans, and you just assume it's just a blue jean company. All they care about is selling product. But maybe they're right in the middle of town. We find that if you'll go a step deeper, and I'm speaking to you direct care staff, if you go a step deeper and try to get into the skin of the person that's working in there and find out why do they do what they do, what else happens here? Because if you make an assumption that they only do jeans, you'll miss some wonderful opportunities. And so if you walk in that jean company, that's all they had was blue jeans, and you say, hey, what else happens here? I see you sell blue jeans. That's really neat. Tell me about that. You start to talk about that, and you say, well, what else? Do you guys do anything else? And which you'll find oftentimes and say, well, we do something really cool. Actually, you may not know about it. In July and in January, we give, so many free pair of jeans away to families that are in need. We also do this. We also do that. And they begin to talk about that. And if you will praise that genuinely, not don't make stuff up. You're not a salesperson. Just if you compliment that and ask them more about that, you'll be amazed at the treasures, truly the treasures and opportunities that are available to you to be part of that and to make a relationship with this person and engage in that community. And when you think beyond product and selling, I'm not suggesting that you only go to vendors. I mean, they be clubs, they might be social clubs, they might be religious events, they might be carnivals, whatever it is that you're, wherever you're stopping in. The point is looking for opportunities. So who visits here is a very good question because, again, you may make an assumption that only a certain kind of person wears blue jeans, or only a certain kind of person does crafts, or only a certain kind of person does sewing. And you might be amazed to find out that I know that I was always interested to find when I was in Kentucky for a while, that the Queen of England, man, she buys her, folks, the royalty family from England, they have a very vested interest in central Kentucky because that's where they get their horses. I wouldn't have done that if I hadn't kind of asked, and that was by mistake. And I got an earful from everybody who was so proud to tell me all that goes on there. So the point being is don't make assumptions that because when you find that out, who goes there, first of all, it might build real confidence in the person that you're working with, the person with a disability. Hey, you're interested in it. Did you know the mayor goes here as well? He's really interested. Did you know that your preacher actually goes here? Those kinds of things. So how can I be part of this is a huge question. And this is where we start to talk about contribution is, again, we're not asking the community to simply to give to us. That's not the way this works, right? We're talking about building win-win relationships and relationships of value. There's never been, listen to me on this, folks, there's never been a society in all of history that has accepted a group of people who don't contribute to their community. They just don't. They'll never be seen as equals. They'll never be seen as equal citizens. So it's very important for us as liaisons for people with disabilities to make sure that people know what our value is. And, and not stereotype it's customized to the person, but to say, hey, we're citizens. We are citizens, whether you want to view that or not, and here's what we have to contribute. So how can I be part of this? Says a lot about your interest in being, part of their mission, part of their passion, and then starting dialogue about how that might be and how you might join. Always say hello and introduce yourself. And then you might say, well, why don't you do this first? And you can flip this on the other side. But the important part is, you're even if it's a business or whatever place it is, you're going and people don't know you yet. And so going in and really introducing yourself and saying a warm hello, a nice hello. There are so many miserable cashiers. I say this all the time. If you're going to just be nice to people and really show an interest in what they're about, it just changes people's day. It makes the world a better place. And you now begin to be welcome. And they may ask what you do. And when you, if you're a person with a disability, if you talk a little bit about things you're interested in, what you do too, if you're asked to do that, all of a sudden they may say, boy, I could really use it. I didn't know that. And maybe they have a sister or brother that could use your support. Or maybe they have questions for you about what you do, and now that relationship again. Here's the other thing. After you said hello and you introduce yourself, let folks know you'd like to come back, if that's the truth. If it's not, then don't say it. And then come back. It's really important that you revisit. Nobody goes to party for the first time, just makes their best friend right there, or makes that connection without some kind of commitment to try again, maybe touch base again. So listening to what others are passionate about is crucial, and it is. A lot of times people working in a place, or they're, volunteering in a place, or they're just on the street and we forget to go a level deeper about what's their passion. They're doing a task, maybe they don't look very hospitable, but if you can get under that layer and say, hey, obviously, how long have you worked here? Or, and if somebody says they worked there 10 years, maybe they don't look very hospitable, and you say, well, gosh, you must really be doing something right. What is it that you love about the place? And sometimes people will tell you they don't love the place, but they love the people. Or sometimes they'll say, well, actually, what I really love is this. Today's just a tough day. You get to that level of passion, all of a sudden it gives you opportunity to say, well, we're passionate about that too. And we didn't know you did that here. And again, you're starting that conversation, and you refrain to the last step and say, well, how could we get involved? We'd love to do that, or we'd love to be part of that. Or so again, this all starts to move the right direction, because you're going a level beneath just a hello, hey, will you give us a job? hello, hey, can we visit here? I mean, if you're in a restaurant, obviously you can visit here. You have a right to be there, and you're going to buy food. But the question is it a place that you want to start to engage people? Causes and clubs are everywhere. Join something and belong. And let me say it this way. Join something or start something. Let's say that you have a person, that you are a person, I should say, with a disability, and you have significant medical conditions that for the time being you really can't get out for health reasons, but you want to be part of something. You could start something at your home or in your yard or something close to you, or you could do it through Skype, now technology. But here's what's really important. Hear me, folks. If you have any interest at all, so do other people. There is somebody who shares your interest. And the positive side of that is if you love sports, if you love religious things, if you love social gatherings, if you love making flyers, if you love flying balloons, flying airplanes, water skiing, whatever it is you love, there's a whole bunch of other people out there. It's never been easier with Facebook and that to find other people who love to do those things. Find those people, join those people, and remember, give, take is offer something, but if you can't join, then start something. There's a gentleman that has a pretty significant intellectual disability, and his ability to speak is he has some barriers there, and his physical abilities are somewhat limited, and yet he started a pop-up dog park, and people did not see him for just, it's very apparent he has a disability, but dog lovers love other dog lovers, and when the dogs got together and the people got together, the shining star of the whole thing is the guy whose family put this together, and he was all over the place. Everybody knew he loved dogs, and they knew he was one of them, and it just was great for everybody involved. So clubs and causes are where it's at. Delhi Historical Society, one place, many gifts accepted. Investigate all possibilities. This is a place you can give to. If you're from Delhi or that area, you can give to. It's a place that you can get. But what's more amazing is, again, and you've heard this thing, look beneath the building right there. It looks very friendly. But, I think most people would, unless you truly do know this, if you're driving by, you're like, oh, that's a really nice house. And they obviously have pride in America and Ohio based on the flag there. But what you may not know is, boy, what a great place to find out about Delhi. If you don't know about Delhi, this is a place to stop in and find out kind of what the history is, what's going on. You could contribute to their cause. You could gain from their cause and find out a whole bunch. And so I feel if you live in the Delhi area, I really advise that you check this place out. I'm not going to out all the things they do. I actually don't know all that they do. I just have been amazed at how much they know about Delhi and how much people value who have stopped in and started the kind of relationships that we talked about. So this is Northside. And when you go to Northside, it's a very diverse community. I like the picture on when you're looking at the screen on the right because you get a badge. Welcome to Northside, basically. Here's some gifts for you. And so if you're a new citizen of Delhi, they really, really want to reach out. They want everybody to welcome. What's neat about Northside, and this is true of many communities, whether you wear a Armani suit and are kind of a metro kind of guy, or whether you are as one of my good friends describes himself, a hippie who wears, denim shorts, a cut-off T-shirt, and those weird flip-flops that have the toes in them, or whatever you are, you're welcome in Northside, and they let you know that and want you to be a part of their community, and that's hospitable, and that's why we included this picture. Mark Butterworth, my good partner in this business, and my team, we just recognize that folks that invite their local community citizens to be part of it really mean it. That's really neat. That is not every community, but guess what? If that doesn't happen in your community, you could start something like that. Be open to others. And we're going to wrap up here. This is the last slide, so I'm going to wrap up with the slide and just a little ending monologue kind of thing. Be open to others, and you may be surprised what you find. We find that, I will tell you, more than the community, most of the professionals in my field are a little bit wary of, how open is the community. We found that over and over. And again, it's not been my experience that is the case. What's been experienced is because we have such a responsibility for the health and safety of the people we serve. That is inherent in all that we do. Sometimes we build in filters or make assumptions about the community that just aren't true. They're not as open as they should be. What I will tell you again is if you will give people the benefit of the doubt, it kind of works out this way. If you will go out there and really take advantage of getting to know your local communities and your communities, period, and find out what good do they do? What are the good things? What are they proud of? What's good? Those kinds of things. And, what are they willing to do for you? And what could you do for them? How could we make a win-win relationship? You'll be amazed that it's about 75% of folks want to be involved in some way with the right approach. Once they know that you're really invested or care about them, that you really give a darn. Out of the 25% left, 10% of those folks just aren't very friendly folks. They just, for whatever reason, they're not very hospitable, not very friendly. And the other, 15%, they just don't know. They're kind of ambivalent. Maybe they're too busy. Maybe they're transient, just, aren't invested. But even those folks, for the most part, if you'll go beneath the surface and make a personal commitment to check in with them and see what is they're proud of, what are they really trying to do, and let people know that, you value what they're trying to do, that opens conversation up. And then if you're willing to make any kind of contribution, and maybe even a thank you, or maybe just, hey, we really do hope that you have a nice day. We hope that the customers that you have are really nice to you. Those kinds of things begin to open up doors. So, final thoughts, and let me just pull this back up for you. Final thoughts is this. We're going to do a lot more in this series. I am sure you're not blown away. Wow, I can't believe the information I learned today. It is so different because this is people stuff. It really is about inviting. It really is about being invited. It really is about when you're not invited, finding a way to invite yourself and reveal your gifts to people. So if you're serving people with disabilities that don't have the ability to reveal their own gifts, we have to be a good liaison to do that. And I will tell you the magic that happens when we do help reveal to the people that we serve what their gifts are. Uncover those gifts, reveal them if they don't know, or if they do know and get sense and they just haven't been able to give those gifts to people, putting people in a position to give their gifts. It is magic. The community is so happy about that, and I never knew. I hear that all the time. I never knew this really cool place in the community existed. I never knew that people with disabilities, especially Joe, who can't speak, I didn't know how smart he was. I didn't know how neat he is. I didn't know how loving he was. I didn't know, we hear that all the time. And so what that means is connecting people's gifts and talents. Nobody's connected by their disabilities for disability's sake. Sometimes people are connected by their disabilities because they share pain, they share an experience. But that is a whole different kind of conversation. We're talking about connecting with your community, and what we want to do is reveal our gifts, reveal our talents, contribute. But we also want to stop asking permission to be a citizen. I really say this to all of you who have disabilities in your families. Stop asking permission. Stop asking permission to participate in life, because, quite frankly, is that you have every right to be part of society, to show your gift, to share what you have to share, and to take the things that other people get too. You're welcome. I hear so many people in the community that are welcoming, and the people that don't worry about those guys. Staff, provider staff, go canvass those neighborhoods. Take a drive around. Look for good places. If you get on Google, look at next door. And if you don't know, if you cannot find places of value, really neat people, places of value in those communities, but you want to, please call Mark Butterworth. Please call myself at the county board, and we have all kinds of contact information. But if you will just go to email Mark, MARK, Butterworth, BUTTEL, WERTH at hamiltondds.org. Or you just call 793, I'm sorry, 794, I said 793, 794-3300, and ask for Mark Butterworth or Eric Metzger. Call us, and we will help you find those places and kind of get started. Or we'll come do, a very direct seminar for you, whatever will be helpful. Families, I cannot tell you, and when I say families, I mean people with disabilities and your families, there's a whole world of really giving people. There's a whole world of people that really need your son, your daughter, your brother, your sister, or you. They need your gifts and your talents. So let's go. Let's do this. Let's start living life to its fullest. And thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.